Step 4, establishing serene breath. After you learn to sit in a comfortable posture, which you did after the other things, the next step is learning to establish even, deep, diaphragmatic breathing. Diaphragmatic breathing. This is not the diaphragm. This is not the diaphragm. This is not the diaphragm. Diaphragm is in here. It's a little hard to believe that this is true, but it seems to be true that finding the diaphragm is one of the most difficult things there is to learn. It ought to be easy. Once we establish comfortably even diaphragmatic breathing, the next step is to learn to do 2-to-1 breathing, where the exhalation is twice as long as the inhalation. One way to hold that simply is what happens to our physiology during what they call fight or flight response when you're under stress. This is me speaking, not Swamiji speaking, but one of the things is it's in our language. If somebody's writing a novel, just a story, and there's some emergency, and then they'll say, and the person gasped for breath. A gasp for breath is an inhalation. And then when the danger has passed, what do? We breathe a sigh of relief. It's an exhalation. So inhalation tends to be invigorating, arouses the autonomic nervous system in a positive way, and relaxation comes from the exhalation. So this is what we're doing. One of the key things that we're doing with breathing is to eliminate the pause. Many of us have heard of Rechaka, Puraka, and Kumbhaka, breath retention practices. Swamiji has repeatedly pointed out that in our tradition we do not emphasize Kumbhaka, breath retention, but rather what's emphasized is the elimination of the pause. Now he says in here, he points out that if you have done that, then you can advance too. You can comfortably do breath retention. But it comes from the fact that you're breathing slower and slower and slower. You're learning how to extend the exhalation. You're learning how to eliminate the pause. At the end of exhalation, there's a very smooth transition into inhalation. At the end of inhalation, there's a very smooth transition into exhalation. So by eliminating the pause and allowing the breath to naturally slow down over time, then it becomes very easy that the breath suspends itself. Ultimately, what the serene breath has to do with is sushumna. Remember, I mentioned a little while ago the comment that Swamiji made in Meditation is Practice. For those of you who are economy readers, you're probably going to read right through this without ever practicing it. God bless you, and may you one day travel the path of light. This is the Sushumna business. This thing of Sushumna awakening, coming as a result of regulating breathing, is one of the most important things to do. And if we accomplish nothing else in a meditation retreat, it's a major accomplishment. The ability to regulate your breath, to slow it down, to eliminate pauses, and to be mindfully able to have both nostrils flowing freely. That's the indicator of Sushumna awakening. That and the fact that the mind is at peace. The only thing then that the mind wants to do is meditate. When Sushumna is awakened, when both nostrils are flowing freely, the mind doesn't know how to worry. It just doesn't know how to do that. It's let it go. And then you can go on with meditation. Lie down, it can be practiced in lying down posture. Mind likes that, body's like that. Little cushion under your head, breathing up and down the spine. In the book that was published from the hospital, what's the whole title? Om the Eternal Witness. There's a section in there that describes the Om Kriya, which Swamiji also describes in his video lectures on Mandukya Upanishad, which is where that material came from. And so it's lying on your back, inhaling up to the crown of the head with Om, silently inside, and exhaling down with Om. And it's just allowed to gradually become slower and slower, comfortably, within one's own capacity. Alternative to that is so going up and hum going down. And you can spend a long time just enjoying. And it makes Sushumna awaken. There's a lot of breathing practices, as you know. So it starts with diaphragmatic breathing, gentle diaphragmatic breathing, then allowed to go to 2 to 1, eliminate the pauses. Can sound like a long checklist, but it's actually, there's a simplicity to it. Eliminate the pauses, no pause. You can feel it at the end, there it goes. And you just gently transition into the next, and you practice it. And then later on, can be added in Agnisara, Kapalabhati, Bhastrika, very invigorating practices, all of which lead towards Sushumna awakening. Swamiji says here, let your mind flow with the breath. Watch what happens and from where you are breathing. Ask your mind to travel. That's internal dialogue. So we can literally ask the mind, would you please flow with the breath? The breath sits between the body and the mind, and they flow together. So if there's a jerk or a jolt or a significant thought that goes through the mind, if you put somebody on biofeedback, you can measure it, you can see it, you can see the response in the physical body. And it happens through the energy system, whether you think of that energy system as prana or simply energy moving through the nervous system. But they flow together. So the body and the mind flow together. And we can ask the mind, we can literally, with internal dialogue, mind, will you please flow with the breath? And it will start to do it. The mind and the breath flow together, and the body automatically relaxes. Elsewhere in one of Swamiji's lectures, he makes the point of, at the relaxation phase of practice, don't talk to your mind saying relax, relax, relax. Don't do that. But rather you cause the relaxation in the body to happen through the breathing. And you can ask the mind to flow with it. So the mind and the breath are flowing smoothly together, coming and going and coming and going. And the body just sinks into it.